What would you do if you saw this neglected, discarded antique table on the curb? Here's what I did. It was dry and warped and cracked. I thought these clamps were useless. They weren't completely useless, just not how I imagined. So I thought I was just going to glue the top back together and clamp it. But you can't glue a round tabletop and get the edges to come together with these clamps. This being my first restoration, I did not realize how much I did not know, or the way old damaged wood would challenge my naive notions. I did get to use the clamps to glue these chunks back to the table. Using a syringe, I shot glue into all the cracks and around those loose chunks of wood. And I got to use the clamps. But how am I supposed to mend those cracks? I had some of this wood filler. I used this quick wood to fill in the chunks that were missing. And then I started sanding. The table leg. So there's this block that gets screwed into the top by 4 screw holes and screwed into the leg by that one large screw. Previously, at some point, it had been repaired with this plug, and there's some metal pins down in the hole. Then eventually, someone just nailed the leg to the tabletop. I filled this hole, then re-screwed a pilot hole. I used the original screw to reattach the top to the leg. First I tried this wood filler, but it was too soft and crumbled apart when I tried to drill into it. So I ended up using this epoxy putty. After I sanded the failed finish off the feet, I went back to the tabletop. The wood filler had dried, but there were still a lot of cracks visible. A friend of mine suggested Creeping Crack Cure. It's a liquid sealant, seeps into the cracks. You let it dry, and put in some more. It took me a couple weeks, and some of the cracks were persistent. And then I used wood conditioner before staining, and the wood was really blotchy. So I sanded again, conditioned again, and then I stained. After wood filling, creeping crack curing, and wood conditioning, some space remained between sections of the tabletop. I decided to paint the flaws gold, like in kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. I painted most of the cracks and the spaces I filled with wood putty and with gold. Then I sealed it with wipe-on poly. It didn't turn out exactly how I imagined. The idea was to save this piece from the landfill and give it a second life. I decided to embrace the flaws, highlight them even. I know there are some antique furniture purists who won't like what I did with this table, but the main point was to keep this out of the trash and practice some restoration skills. And now it's time to put it back together. And here it is. Very imperfect restoration of an antique table that was heading to the landfill.